Gold explorer Kalamazoo Resources, trading on the ASX under the symbol KZR, surprised the markets with a spectacular deal released today. Kalamazoo acquired the Ashburton Gold project from gold miner Northern Star Resources. Ashburton already has a resource of some 1.6 million ounces of gold on it, but Kalamazoo will not have to pay a penny for that for a while yet. We talked to Kalamazoo's CEO Luke Reinehr today and let him explain that sweet deal. Welcome, Luke.
Hi, Bjorn. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. I think you should be feeling good too. Congratulations on your spectacular deal in the Pilabra. For those in our audience that did not see the press release, please give us the details on Kalamazoo's latest project acquisition. What are the conditions and how did you manage to get a deal done without having to pay any cash and or shares up front?
So, thanks, Bjorn. Yeah, look, I think this is a tremendous development for our shareholders and very important addition to our portfolio of projects. As you know, our key focus is in Victoria with our Castlemaine and also South Muckleford gold projects, but we've been in the Pilbara for quite a while. And just to give some background, when we started Kalamazoo, my brother and I, Matt, 10 years ago as a private company, we'd actually been doing a lot of exploring in the area nearby Northern Star's first project, which was the Paulson's gold project in the Ashburton. This is going back to 2010, 2009. And then, so Northern Star was operating just from one project, but it then acquired another project called the Ashburton Gold Project, about 200 kilometres to the east. And we actually had some exploration land in that area as well. So we've been quite familiar with it for quite a while. And what occurred was that Northern Star, with the Ashburton Gold Project, when it acquired that project, it had already produced about 350,000 ounces of gold for a previous operator. And Northern Star acquired it and then very aggressively expanded the project to 1.6 million ounces of gold. But then it sat on the shelf for a while. And the reason being is that the gold price at that stage was around about $1,600. And Northern Star was looking to turn the Ashburton Gold Project into its second standalone processing plant. But the gold price collapsed from $1,600 down to $1,300 or $1,350. And so Northern Star put the Ashburton project on hold. And it's basically sat there for the next 6 or 7 years. And Northern Star, as a consequence of that lower gold price, went on a buying spree and bought up a number of very large gold projects from Barrick and others, and is now a tier one operator. So the Ashburton project has actually been sitting there, which gave us the opportunity to go and talk to Northern Star earlier on this year about acquiring it. The terms of the project, as you mentioned, yes, we're not having to pay anything up front for this project. Northern Star understands that the best value for a project like this is for someone to start exploring aggressively and put money into the ground. And that's really what we've agreed to do, is that we're going to very aggressively look to explore and see if we can substantially increase the resource and then get it into production. And if we can do that, we'll pay Northern Star $5 million when we start mining, and then an ongoing royalty stream. So really, it's a win-win situation for both parties. We get this exploration project that's got an enormous amount of potential, operational, up and running, and hopefully then, if we can get it into production, Northern Star, have an ongoing royalty stream which will assist them.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Now, in the Pilabra has a lot of interest recently because of the Grey Mining's Hemi discovery, which was a new style of the mineralization for the region. It has lit a fire on many stocks exploring there. So you answered that question up to a point already, and as you said, you're in the region already with the Sisters project and other projects. Can you give us a bit more detailed information on what you have on Ashburton? What made you snap it up apart from the resource?
Yeah, I think it's the size of the resource. 1.6 million ounces at 2.5 grams a ton, which is a nice medium-sized resource and grade. So that certainly got our interest. Also, there's been obviously a renewed focus in the Pilbara as a consequence of De Grey and the Hemi discovery. So we think the timing was right and very opportune for us to actually look at that project. Interestingly, Northern Star was looking to bring it into production, 7 or 8 years ago. but the gold price changed that. The gold price, as I mentioned, went down to $1,350, and that's Australian when I'm talking about that.
Yeah.
Today, we're now looking at, in Australian dollar terms, close to $2,600, $2,600. So there's a big change in that pricing. So that creates opportunities as well.
Okay, of course, and that would be another question. You said you're going to plan to explore aggressively.
Yes.
What does that entail? Will you have to do further, I don't know, geophysical studies, or will you start drilling directly?
Yeah, as you can imagine, there's an enormous amount of data that we've acquired with this project, and Northern Star, of course, because of their expertise, the quality of that data is very high. We need to obviously review and assess that. We need then to look at perhaps using some other technologies that haven't been used there in recent years, because there hasn't been as much focus on exploration, and that could be geophysics and geochem. I think, as you and I have discussed before, we've have a number of collaboration programs with the CSIRO, which is a government scientific organisation in regard to multi-element soil sampling. We'll be doing a lot of work on that. But Northern Star, they also have done an enormous amount of work in regard to their next round of exploration and what the process and the steps and design of exploration programs to further increase the resource. So, we can access a lot of that data, but we'll have to make our own decision on that and take a fresh approach on this. So that's what we intend to do. So that'll be a process for us over the next couple of months. But we're very pleased with that. One of the things we've done is we've appointed Paul Adams who's one of our non-executive directors, to actually lead that program. Now, Paul has actually had some very good success in Australia over the last 12 months. He was managing director of a company called Spectrum Metals, which increased their resource from 30,000 ounces to 300,000 ounces in 12 months. And when they're then subsequently taken over by a company called Ramelius. So Paul has very specific experience in that regard and great expertise. So he'll be leading our standalone exploration team in WA to actually look at the next steps. Obviously, though, beyond, at the end of the day, you've got to start drilling. And so we would be looking to be drilling by the end of this year, with an extensive campaign. And that's obviously the key for us by the end of this year.
Okay, that's good to know, sort of time frame. As you said, there has been a lot of work already done on Ashburton and feasibility and development studies, probably at the lower gold price, though, that you mentioned. You said, as we just discussed, you're going to explore aggressively, and then are you planning, or are you counting on putting Ashburton into production yourself, or what are your plans in that direction?
Our initial plans are to see if we can substantially increase the size of the resource, because that gives us a lot of optionality as well. But in the background to that as well, we'll be doing a lot of work on the metallurgy as well. The ore body at the Ashburton is a combination of oxide and also sulfide ore. But the thing is that Northern Star had actually done a fair bit of work on that as well, in regard to the ability to treat that sulfide ore with pressure oxidization, POX plants, etc. And that was showing some very good recoveries of 90 to 95%. Now we need to do a lot more work on that, but that's a key consideration for us. And there's been a lot of advances in technology in the last 10 years as well, in regard to more difficult ore bodies. So we understand that.
Okay, good to know. We'll see how it goes. As you said, you're not only exploring, of course, at the Ashburton, or will be exploring at the Ashburton project, but on multiple fronts now, which comes with a price. How do you have cash at the moment?
Yeah, so we have about $11.5 million cash in the bank. And one of the things we did when we acquired the Ashburton project was that we'd previously had a project called the Snakewell Gold Project. And we'd sold that for $7 million about 18 months ago, and that was over terms. And so there was still about $3.25 million owed on that. We've done a deal with the purchaser of that project, whereby we've brought forward that money, and that's getting paid this month. And we gave them a small discount of a couple of %. So we brought forward some more funds so that we could actually start exploring, immediately in the Ashburton. So we've got about $11 million cash. We also have about $9 million worth of options that are in the money. So I would think over the next 12 months, we're close to $20 million that we think will be readily available for exploration, not just in the Pilbara, but also in Victoria. And on top of that, of course, as well, I think we've discussed before, we had both Eric-Sprott and Novo-Resources join our register in January of this year as cornerstone investors. So, we've got significant support behind us, whereby we think we can give both of those portfolio projects the justice and the resources that they both require.
And also, if I remember correctly, Novo and Eric-Sprott have options also that are, I think, at 80 cents, which isn't far off at the moment at all. So there might be some money coming in there too, if it all goes well. Okay, that certainly sounds very, very interesting. We're very excited to see how it goes. Though Gold Invest, of course, first started talking about Kalamazoo because of its tenements in the Victorian goldfields, or we like to call the hunt for the next Fosterville-Mine. And I'm sure, and as you said, that's still the other focus of the company. Could you give us a short update on what is happening there? That would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, it is our key focus, and they're our major projects at the Castlemaine and South Muckleford projects. We're just completing at the moment a project-wide soil sampling program, what they call an ultra-fine multi-element soil sampling across both projects. We're doing that in collaboration with the CSIRO, the government scientific organisation. Results of those are coming through as we speak, and that will then add further value to our targeting for our next drill campaign on both projects, hopefully at the end of this year, or Q3, Q4. It's always subject to permitting, of course, and COVID-19, and we understand that. But certainly it's our intention to be drilling on both projects, as soon as we can. On top of that as well, we have the land tender, which is the land surrounding the Fosterville gold mine. That's due to be announced in the next couple of months, and I think, as we've discussed before, we've bid for blocks 3 and 4 adjacent to the Fosterville-Mine. We know there's a lot of competition there, but we're always hopeful that perhaps we may have some success there as well. Yeah,
that would certainly garner even more interest for Kalamazoo, because it's a hot topic of discussion on the ballboards amongst people interested in the space. So another thing to look forward to. I'm sure you won't be short of news flow over the next couple of weeks and months. So thank you very much, Luke, taking the time, and we hope all it goes well and we can talk again at an even higher price of Kalamazoo.
Thanks very much, everyone. Always good to talk.